Good morning, everybody, and a big welcome to Google Digital Garage this morning on this fine Tuesday. I hope it's looking good wherever you are and that you're having a good week so far. So welcome along. We're going to be covering writing for social media for you this morning. It's a really good topic. It's one of my favorites. So we're going to be looking at, as it says in the description, creating content with confidence across the key social platforms. And I know that this is an area that's dear to many, many people's hearts. So we will be getting underway shortly. But first, of course, I need to do some introductions and do a little bit of housekeeping. So my name is Glenn, and I'm a trainer for Google's free skills training program at Google Digital Garage. I'm an experienced digital skills trainer, and I've got a good background in digital marketing. I'm a digital marketing tutor, and my big background, if you like, is management and consultancy, and really helping businesses identify opportunities to grow and keep up with the current trends in tech, to make sure that we're utilizing the tools that are available to us and being as effective and as well time efficient as we possibly can be, because we know that these things do take time and we want to create some of that quality content. Now, I'm also accompanied by the wonderful Vina, who you're going to find in the chat. Now, Vina will introduce herself and say hello to you in the chat. We absolutely love interactivity in these sessions. I can't see you. You can see me. I can't see you at all. So please do get involved in the session. Now, Vina will be posting saying hello. There he is. There she is. That's Vina S. And she's got a little small blue spanner by the side of her name to show she's moderating this session for us today. Come in and say hello. Let us know where it is that you are tuning in from today. We often get quite an international audience for these sessions, so it's great to see where everyone's coming in from. Please do use the chat throughout the session. Use it to interact with each other. Use it to interact with us in any way that you like, to help us to understand where you are with social media and creating some of that content already, where you are on your journey, and also pop in your questions too. Now, Vina will answer the majority of those questions for you in the chat, but we do also have in the session a couple of pause for questions, whereby maybe there's a question that someone's put in that might be applicable perhaps to a much wider audience, and I'll answer those live as time allows. So please use the chat. If you can't see the chat, then you might not be signed into your YouTube account. So sign in to your YouTube account or create a YouTube account. They're easy to do and they only take a few clicks to do that. One of the nice things that you can do if you do have that YouTube account is you have a history function. So you're watching this now on the link you came in on. That link will remain valid for the next 24 hours. So you can revisit this module and cover any sections that you want to look at again, or cover in a bit more detail or take some more notes off. So if you've got a YouTube account, you can go into your history and you'll find it in your history as well, there for your convenience. So I can see lots and lots of hellos coming in. I'm not going to be able to catch everybody, but I can see Patricia, hello to you. Jessica Kennedy, hello to you. Michelle Kane, hello to you. Crikey, yes, we do indeed. We've got people in from the Ukraine, from India, from the Netherlands. Yeah, blimey, really international audience today. A happy morning to you as well. So thank you so much. Do keep your comments coming. Now, we'll get going in a moment. I just want to make sure that everyone's having a good viewing and listening experience. So on that basis, if you are having any difficulties with the sound or with the vision, then please do refresh your browser. That seems to fix most of those issues. As I've mentioned, we will be taking some questions throughout and Vina will answer most of those. Now, this session, Writing for Social Media, is part of a much broader offering of courses that we've got available on the Google Digital Garage site. That's g.co/digital garage, and Vina will pop that link for you in the chat. That's g.co/digital garage. So book up for more sessions. There are lots and lots of sessions, even of different lengths. So we've got some bite-sized training of about 15 minutes or so, and then sessions like this that go on for around an hour. Book up for as many as you want, as many times as you want, and you could get some good experience by listening to different trainers' perspectives on the same content. Always really, really good to build that bank of knowledge. There's also a fantastic course which will complement this module, which is called the Fundamentals of Digital Marketing. It's a 40-hour video learning course where you will watch those videos at your leisure in your own time. And when you finish the module, you can take an assessment. When you pass, you will then be able to download a certificate, so it's certified, that is endorsed by the Open University. That looks really good on your CV, for example, or your LinkedIn profile if you've got one. So do bear that in mind. Do undertake that module. I've done it a couple of times myself now. It's just a really good one. Good to freshen up your perspectives and look at what's going on and keep up to date with the trends in digital marketing. All right, so that's all of the housekeeping done. I think it's time for us to look at what we're going to be covering this morning. So we split the module up into three main parts, three areas for you. We're going to, in the first section, helping us to really define what our brand is and what a brand means on social media. That whole brand building exercise is really, really important that we build a positive, conducive presence online. In the second section, we're going to be looking at how we can write effectively for social media, improving our writing, essentially, looking at some tips to help us to be, again, really, really efficient and to get the key messages across to our audience and to our potential customers. It is a skill, but again, like with anything that we feel is going to be of value to us, we're probably going to need to learn and test and experiment and then improve as we start to evaluate our output. Lastly, we're going to be looking at the tools for content marketing, some of the things which hopefully are going to be free in some cases or free to a point, and that are going to, again, help us to create good posts in the most efficient way we can, keeping time scales and the fact we probably don't have a great deal of time very much in mind. Okay, so before we do get stuck into the content, I just want to mention the free one-to-one mentoring service that is available from Google. You do need to be based in the UK and you're a small business or a charity. So if you're eligible there, then sign up for Google Mentoring at g.co/UK mentoring. That's g.co/UK mentoring. You get one-to-one, face-to-face, online, virtually, with a mentor, a digital expert, looking at any digital topic of your choice that's going to help you and your business grow. So there might be content that you see in this module this morning that you think I'd really like to discuss that a little bit more, to learn how I can actually adapt that or integrate that into my business. So the one-to-ones are the perfect vehicle to help you to do that. So please do sign up. I'm part of that service myself, and we've had some really good outcomes from some of those discussions, and it's really helped people move along. So consider that. Use all of the no-cost resources that are there, and you can really start to find the value, and you'll start to find yourself moving along nicely. All right then, so let's get going with this writing for social media, and let's define our brand on social media. So let's start with a question. Pop this into chat for me. What is a brand tone of voice? Is anyone aware of what that means and what that is really about? There are no bad answers here, no wrong answers at all. It's just interesting to see how people position these types of phrases. Now, it would be really, really useful for us to understand, perhaps your understanding of what a brand tone of voice is, or perhaps even if you're adopting a brand tone of voice for your business or organization, or for you as well. Okay, I'll give you a couple of seconds just to put those things in. I will have a look at anything that does come in as it comes in, and Vina will pass a couple of those across to me should you do. Oh, here we go. So Christopher Staples, thank you, Christopher. Good morning to you. It's about what kind of voice the brand has, how effective it is. Yeah, it's about telling a story. One of the best ways to describe it. Oh, here we go. So Michelle, the message you're trying to communicate, brilliant. The feeling or emotion, mission you or your brand want to convey to the customer or consumer, and that's from Benifong Jr. Thank you. Those are great answers. Defines the brand's personality. Caroline Bailey. Good morning, Caroline. Absolutely. I'm going to bring all of those things together. It's the way your brand or business would speak if it was a real person like you or me. We are individuals. We all have our distinct personalities and the things that make us us. And your brand is going to have the same feel to it in terms of you defining how you want to speak to your customers, how you want to come across, how you want to make your customers feel. Brand tone of voice is almost, as I say, like your business was walking along the street and it bumped into somebody that they knew and how they'd communicate to them. So a brand's tone of voice is the words that would be used. Again, very key for this module. How they would behave, how they would respond in certain situations, and how they would dress, so how they would look, how your brand looks. Essentially everything that you do online, I feel, represents your brand and what it is that you're looking to do. So you have to be very, very wary to make sure that all of the posts that you put on social media have a goal, they have a purpose, and that every post works towards and fits that purpose. You can't go off track too much because you want to be consistent, and you want to ensure that your audience start to build some trust and see the credibility in you and your product or service. So a brand tone of voice, it's quite a responsibility, but it's something you can work on. And as long as you are consistent and you adhere to the guidelines that you build, then you can build a really good brand pretty quickly. So, as we've said, it is the personality of your brand or business. Now, we want to connect with our audience and we want to stand out from our competition, our industry peers. So we need to combine a couple of those factors together to help us to do that. One way to really explain nicely how branding and how our perception, the pictures that we can build up in our mind would work when it comes to branding, is to think about this little exercise here. So again, you can pop it into chat if there's something you'd like to contribute here. Now, if your business was a brand, or business or brand was a celebrity, who would it be and why? So you can see on the screen that we've got 3 different personalities, 3 different brands. That's the point. And it is no coincidence that they are seen in the way that they are seen. These things are worked for. These things are worked towards. People have, PR and agents that, especially the people you see on screen, that help them achieve a certain impact on their audience. So you might look at Bill Nye, informed, approachable, and goofy. You might look at Beyonce, strong, empowered, and alluring. So these could well be ways that when you picture that celebrity in your mind, that's how they speak to you. That's the impact they have on you, and you respond to them accordingly. I'm going to focus a bit on George Clooney because this is an example that seems to resonate quite a lot. Sophisticated, laid back, and smooth. So if you think about George, you think about the films that he's done, but you also, I think, specifically think about the adverts that he's done. Now, George Clooney has been advertising a particular coffee brand for a really long time. Wouldn't it be great for a coffee brand if they could start to build a brand image about their coffee that made their coffee feel sophisticated, laid back, and smooth? It works, doesn't it? George Clooney represents a brand. He's sophisticated, laid back, and smooth. And it could be a really good goal for a coffee brand to make their potential customers feel like their coffee is sophisticated, that it's laid back, and it's smooth. These are great descriptive areas for a coffee. So personality meets brand, and they almost blend. They can help represent each other and build those pictures in people's minds. And that's what a lot of digital marketing is about. And that's what a lot of the posts that you are going to be putting together are about. So learn psychology, Gucci and Louis Vuitton, different brands have different personalities and different values. Exactly that. Values is a great word to be bringing in here as well. We do need to have brand values, things that we stand for, so that, again, our audience can identify with us and so that we almost build this emotional connection. So we want to make our brands memorable. We want to stand out from other brands. We want to appeal to our target audience, and we need to be consistent about that. Clearly, if you jump from being George Clooney to Beyonce, and then Bill Nye, and then James Corden, and then any other celebrity that you're thinking of, then people will start to get a little bit confused, and that can actually affect your brand's credibility. People like to see consistency and understand what it is that you're about, because you don't want to make your audience work too hard in interpreting these things. It needs to be clear, it needs to be memorable, and it needs to be to the point. So I'm going to ask you, can you pop into chat in relation to you or your business, perhaps a celebrity, not the ones necessarily on the screen, but a celebrity that you would think that kind of personality really suits my business. There are so many. So it would be really, really interesting to see some of the examples that you might come up with in terms of how you feel your business or your enterprise, your website, your products, your services, how you'd want them to come across to your audience. Because then you can start to, it's almost part of the persona building exercise. You can add the tone of voice into your personas. Then you can create something which you can almost put on your screen in front of you that represents your ideal audience and then helps you to write great content specifically targeting that particular audience. This is how digital marketing can work and work really, really effectively. It's a very joined up process, and having a strategy and having some goals is always absolutely key. So I'll keep an eye out for a couple of those responses. Think of a celebrity and perhaps what they are, what their brand attributes are that you'd like to apply to your own business, and I'll keep an eye out for those as we move along. So we've defined 4 steps to help you develop your brand tone of voice. And we mentioned that word values, and there it is right at the top, brand values. What you stand for, what it is that you're trying to achieve, your mission statement. Then secondly, we're going to be looking at those personas that I mentioned, which is your user pen portrait. Then we're going to be looking at how you actually speak and the words that you can choose, the tones that will reflect, again, your personality. And then we're going to be looking at choosing our words, because having to choose our words very, very carefully, especially on some of the platforms that maybe restrict characters, like Twitter, for example. We really do need to choose our words really, really carefully to impact our audience quickly and to get our point across. I can see comment that's come in from Banifong Jr. It's hard to choose. You represent a tennis fitness center, so you'd gravitate to one of the famous tennis players, but we're a charity and we'll want to appeal to families and communities. Yeah, that's a good point. I think then choose perhaps a tennis player or a sports person, or even just a personality that has good family and community values. It doesn't necessarily have to be a tennis player because you are a tennis fitness center. It could be just somebody who you feel represents that community feel and appeals directly to families. They might be an active celebrity or someone that you know undertakes a fair amount of perhaps fitness or advocates a healthy way of life. But what you're defining to me there is that families and communities really would represent your brand values and who you're trying to appeal to. So think of somebody that perhaps would have that impact as well. Somebody probably warm, somebody reasonably caring, and somebody perhaps very empathetic, perhaps, or sympathetic in terms of difficulties. So use the words, play around with that, and hopefully you'll have a picture in your mind pretty quickly. I can see a comment come in there. I do apologize. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce your name, so I'm not going to try and get it wrong. But we are a new online radio station about Ukrainian culture, history, and music. Fantastic enterprise, and good luck with that. I'm not sure if I can pick up a personality that can be known worldwide, except of President Zelensky. Again, fine. If President Zelensky represents the brand values that you feel would be applicable to your brand and would represent it well, then you're on the way. So it's a great example, and thank you so much for joining in with us this morning. So let's have a look at each of these 4 areas in a bit more detail. We're going to look at brand values. So we need to, again, reflect back. What are our values? What do we stand for? Are we a very sustainable business? Do we use sustainable materials, have a sustainable delivery method, something that's helping the planet? It's so important with all businesses needing to work towards that carbon net zero in 2030. That can appeal to a lot of customers now, people who want to save this beautiful planet of ours. But your brand values could be all centered around excellent customer service, providing the best atmosphere for your customers so they want to come back again, and again. Or if you're an independent news source, perhaps unbiased reporting. There are different from your mission statement or the fact of what you do. It's why you do what you do, what got you there in the first place, what things you might have experienced that you really want to pass on. Now, it's a great first step because it's going to help you to go on and shape that brand tone of voice. So let's have a look at this in a little bit more detail with a couple of examples. So we've got a couple of made up businesses there, Nicos Pizzeria and Hathaway Legal. So 2 very different lines of business. A pizzeria clearly is going to be very different from a legal firm. So therefore, they're going to speak in different ways and probably have a reasonably different customer set. So therefore, you're going to be writing differently to represent how you feel a pizzeria would be speaking to their customers and what they need, how they need to appeal, the impacts they need to make. Whereas perhaps with Hathaway Legal, a legal firm, again, you're looking potentially at people spending quite a lot of money, and that you might be getting them out of difficult situations, or they might have some very important business that they need you to handle for them. So Nicos Pizzeria on the left. Now you can see the words that are highlighted in the yellowy orange. So making quality pizza with fresh ingredients. There's a brand value, quality. They need to provide excellent customer service. That's one of the things they're trying to work on and improve and ensure is consistent for all of their customers. We need fast and reliable home delivery or takeaway. Fast and reliable. That could be a really important value that's important to pizzeria customers. You know, pizzas, you often want your food pretty quickly. So if you can offer a fast and reliable service that gets that pizza to the door really, really quickly, then you're going to be meeting the needs of a certain set of your customers. When we look at Hathaway Legal, look at the wording, look at the words that are being used. Dedicate the highest level of diligence to each case. So that's probably vocabulary much more suitable for a legal firm than it is for the pizzeria. It's not quite a friendly word, it's a very formal, professional word. We believe that our clients deserve a quick response. So we know in the legal area that sometimes we have really pressing issues that we need to clear up very, very quickly. We only hire top lawyers who have trained at prestigious institutions, so top lawyers. That means that they're not hiring graduates, they're not hiring people fresh to the industry. They are essentially hiring people that have been in the business a long time with a lot of experience under their belt. That paints a certain picture. What that would also suggest to me is that Hathaway Legal could be a fairly expensive place to do business, and that you need to be prepared that you will be charged a certain level. So maybe they're appealing to perhaps higher salary bands in terms of their overall ideal audience. All of these things can be invoked from the words that are used. They're applying diligence, they're going to give you quick responses from top lawyers. So you can see how that picture starts to build. Okay, now the next thing that we need to do is consider our audience in a great deal of detail. We need to know who our audience are. It's use a pen portrait. They can be the term that you can use there also are going to be things like personas, buyer personas, lots of interchangeable ways. Essentially, it's your ideal and target customer, and you want to build up a good understanding and knowledge of them. Now, we've got a bit of an exercise coming up that you can work through and do again in your own time and apply to your own business as well. We need to build a vivid picture of our audience using words. It may sound silly, but actually the more detail you can create, the better. So you really start to get a feel like you're talking to a particular person. It's almost, it's not about stereotyping, it's about identifying commonalities within your ideal target audience set, and then writing to appeal to them, to give them messages that make them happy, that make them think, I'd like to engage with this business. It's you can write your posts almost as though you were speaking directly to your readers because you've done that background research. This is important. Great quote on the screen. Great content for everyone means great content for no one. That's why I keep saying the word target audience and ideal audience. If you create messages and just throw them out onto the web or across your social media platforms, then you're going to experience a lot of people that are casually surfing, casually looking through profiles who have really no intent probably to buy at any point. So you need to appeal to your target audience because you are the solution to their challenge. And that's what all marketing is about, really helping the people with the challenge, so your customers, know that you're the solution. You're going to help them, you're going to entertain them, you're going to fix their issues, and you're going to help them to move forward. You know, that's a real purposeful goal for any type of marketing. So let's extend that out when we start to think about personas so we can see the amount of detail that we go into. So Nicos Pizzeria, they have defined that one of their target audience representatives might be Simon. So Simon is young. So again, think about people that like pizza. Simon is young, he's single, he's professional, he's in his late 20s, he works full-time and he lives in Brighton. He's got a very busy work and social life, has a big appetite for adventure, a keen athlete who enjoys playing football, but also goes to his local bar with his mates to watch televised sporting events. So he lives a busy life. He might not do great deal of cooking for himself. So a fast and convenient food service to him could well make him want to choose an organisation like Nicos for his food. Hathaway Legal, very different. So Sally, early 30s, she's single. Her first time buying a new apartment in Leeds city centre, which is perhaps why she needs that legal service. She works for an insurance company. So again, she may well have a certain income bracket. She enjoys reading the newspaper and drinking coffee at a nearby coffee shop. She's a tech fanatic. She enjoys getting the latest gadgets. So she has some expendable income. So we know, again, that she's got a bit of money to spend potentially. She graduated with a degree in history. She's a bit of a grammar nerd. And then crucially at the end, it says appreciates quality. So maybe all of those things, maybe that Hathaway Legal message that we saw before about diligence and quick responses are the things that exactly appeal to Sally. Now, you might think, how do I get all of that detail? You have to start to look at your existing customer sets, the people that you're already working with, and do some polls maybe on your social media platforms, ask people questions, look at people's profiles that are buying from you. People leave a lot of information online that can help you build a picture of them, their likes, their preferences, the films they like watching, the food they like eating, what they like doing, where they like going. People do tend to leave a lot of information online, and it's great intelligence for you as a marketer, someone who's going to be creating those social media posts. So use a pen portrait. Gather as much information as you can. You can see that you want to look at making up perhaps a representative name for them. The general age bands, is that 25 to 35, 35 to 45, etc. Where do they live? So again, location based. If you are a local business, you want to appeal to people within a certain catchment area. So that could be crucial for you to understand as well. What's their marital status, their job status? Do they have children? And what are their earnings? What are their hobbies, interests, and values? So this is a great slide to either revisit later or make some notes on now as you go. What's their job title? Are they a decision maker? So it could be, again, someone that you want to contact because you know they can make the decisions for their organization. What are their talents and ambitions? So it helps you to build a good picture of that personality. Now, how we speak is going to be really, really important. It's exactly the same with us as individuals. How is it that we actually speak, and how do we come across? And are we communicating appropriately to our audience at any given time? So Nicos Pizzeria wants to come across to their customers as having a lot of charm. Great idea for a pizzeria. They want to be seen as authentic. So they're producing those great authentic pizzas with a great authentic atmosphere. And they're very family oriented. So everything that they post is going to have an underlying element of charm, authenticity, and it's going to be family based to bring in all of the family and for them to feel comfortable in that establishment. Hathaway Legal, however, want to be powerful, efficient, and experienced, so that everyone that reads their posts helps them to feel that they are powerful, they're efficient, they're to the point, they get on with it, and that they're experienced. So they're going to do a great job for you, and they're going to solve your challenge. So try and again apply those 3 words to your type of business and see how that works. See what you can bring up, which again evokes a good picture for your readers. Test these things out, perhaps on friends and family or colleagues or associates. How is that coming across? Are you hearing this, reading this in the way that I'd like it to be seen or heard? And it's a really great exercise to really help you to adapt your writing style and speak in that particular way, representing your business in the way that you feel it's going to appeal strongly to your target audience. So let's create some guidelines for the words that you will and you won't use. So if there's more than one of you in the business that you're working for, and maybe both of you or more are posting on social media platforms, one of the things that you want to do, one of the things that you want to come across as is efficient and consistent. That consistency word will come up. So perhaps that includes outlining how you would prefer people were greeted in relation to your business. The ways that the way you say bye, the way you say thanks very much, how you describe your products, using specific words or phrases. Is it going to be formal, informal? Is it going to be entertaining or serious? Start to think about how your customers are going to best appreciate the descriptions of the things that you want to tell them. Those are really, really key ways to think about how you communicate, and if you can keep to those guidelines, run them through with your team. Again, if more than one person is going to be posting on your social media accounts, to make sure that they don't just go off on their own tangent and perhaps start to ruin that brand feel, that tone that you're establishing, that people will start to recognize you for. That's a very, very important element. Okay, let's go through some examples of some of the wording that we're going to be looking at. So for Nicos Pizzeria, again, he's obviously gone and got a piece of paper and a pen, and they considered about, okay, what do I want to communicate through to my customers? I've got customer, eat, fresh. Fresh, customer doesn't really say a lot. Eat, it's a pizzeria, you'd expect to eat, but fresh paints a picture in the mind. Fresh ingredients, fresh food that tastes great. In terms of the greetings, then they've considered ciao because they want to be authentic Italian. They've gone for hello. They've looked at hi, but they've crossed out hi. Could be a little bit, maybe a bit too informal, maybe. Patron, again, that doesn't mean a lot to a lot of people, but welcome. Welcome's a great word. Welcome's very warming. Welcome to our pizzeria. And then appetizing food, things that make your taste buds start to think, oh, we're going to get near to lunch fairly soon, and what am I going to have today? They want you to feel hungry, and they want for you to then choose them in terms of the food that you're going to eat. So appetizing has become one of those particular words that are going to be used. With Halfway Legal, again, they've thought, how do I sign off my emails and my letters? Best wishes, not sure if that represents a legal firm entirely. Cheers, much, much too informal. If you're going to spend £10,000 with a legal organisation, the last thing I think I'd want at the end of my invoice was, that'll be £10,000, please, cheers. I'd rather see kind regards, because it gives you that professional feel. They've also eliminated fab as a way to express themselves. Excellent. Again, looking at, they want to be powerful and efficient. Excellent. That's excellent. Fits in much better than that's fab in terms, again, in the legal sense. So again, appropriately speaking, based on the type of organization you're representing. And even thank you instead of thanks gives that more professional, formal feel that could be applicable to a legal firm. Now we're going to move into the first pause for questions. And I'm just going to have a look to see what's been going on. I can see you've been reasonably busy in the chat there. Do keep it coming. And that we've got a question that's come in. So say you're growing it with Google Ads, would it be best to do it close to where the niche is, where people want it? Yes, Christopher, exactly that. The location settings could be important. The way that I would put that is that if you're a business based in London, you don't want your settings to apply all the way out to Edinburgh, because if you're a local business, then people aren't going to travel from Edinburgh down to London. So you target the postcodes or the localities or the general area that you feel people would travel through and from, reasonable travel distance times. And of course, you start to understand, if you've got Google Analytics, for example, linked to your website, then you can complement and understand a great deal about your audience by looking at all of the detail and the data that is in Google Analytics. You can essentially understand your audience to a great degree when they're online, when they're posting, when they're interacting with you, when they're clicking on your posts. Where they're clicking from, countries, cities, etc. And that really does help you to, again, focus your mind on the messages that you want to build. So thank you very much indeed for that question. Hopefully that answers it well enough for you. Now, okay, we've got another question coming. Can a business target several target audiences simultaneously? Yes, of course you can. Yeah, you might have different email newsletters. You could be posting for one of the segments of your audience in a particular way on a particular day, or you could set aside different times of the day or week in order to appeal to the different audiences that you're trying to reach and appeal to, because they will have commonalities. You're just going to be targeting the words that you're using to that particular demographic in terms of what you'd expect them to want to hear. But yes, a lot of businesses might have 3, 5, 7 personas, maybe more, maybe less, depending on the size of that business. And you are crafting material to specifically appeal to that type of audience. It's almost like working with a particular, I think actually the easiest thing we say is that it's targeting. You need to target specific groups of people because you know that they are the ones who are going to be buying your products. So you speak to them directly. Okay, I think that's possibly most of them. Benifong Jr. can Google Analytics pair with Squarespace websites. If you have a look in the user guide for the web builder that you're using, then you can see the compatibility, but Squarespace will have a section that you can implant the Google Analytics user code, user ID. So again, please do look that up separately. All right, excellent stuff. We are now going to move into the second section. There'll be another pause for questions later, which I will pick up on. So we're going to look at the writing that we're going to undertake on social media now to create those effective messages. Another great quote here on the screen: I would have written a shorter letter, but I did not have the time. So what does that mean? That means that we might well write a big rambling sentence, a big rambling narrative, but in order for the key points to hit home, we're going to have to edit that. We're going to have to spend a bit of time making it a bit more efficient, and so that our customer is recognizing the key points of our message very, very quickly. So you need to edit. You need to spend a bit of time. You need to, again, you can test your posts out on friends, family, colleagues, so that you can understand the message that your particular post is going to convey as an audience member, and then get some feedback. Does that really hit the spot? Does that actually achieve what it is that I'd like it to achieve? As I mentioned, there are platforms like Twitter that have a 280 character count, so you have to write very succinct messages in order to get your point across. So that's a really good way to test yourself, writing a key impact statement that has as fewer words in it as possible, that achieves the target, achieves the goal of what you're trying to achieve. So let's have a look at that. And why is that important? Well, the average human attention span is 8.25 seconds. 8.25 seconds, that can be a bit of a surprise to people. Now, it's interesting to also note that when it comes down to things like social media, because we're often working on our devices and because we're often scrolling, that scrolling thing with our thumbs are becoming a lot stronger these days, is that we're flicking very, very quickly. So we're passing a lot of content. So therefore you need to grab your reader, your audience's, your customers' attention quickly with a good effective post, a good effective message, or accompanied by a good picture. When it comes to social media, the average attention span on social media before flicking on and before scrolling even further is about 3 seconds. So you've essentially got about 3 seconds to capture people's attention. So that's why you need to produce a good post. So we are writing literally for the goldfish. I can remember that as a child being told that they had very short memory attention spans, and as humans we now appear to be in a similar bracket, and that's because there's so much information out there, so much information that we are being almost bombarded by on a day-to-day basis. We have to process all of that information, but so much information means that perhaps we don't linger or reflect on it as much as we could do, and that we need to ensure that the messages are standing out. That's the whole point. So that follows on. And this again comes down to making sure that we have an impactful message. I mean, that's a controversial statement there. And again, something that if you craft and create really, really long posts might be a little bit worrying, but it's really, really true. Assume your reader will only read the first half of your sentence. So what that means is that the information that's above the line needs to be impactful and needs to tell its own story very, very quickly. Think about it. I mean, look at the things that you do. Look at your own online behavior and your own social media behavior, the things that you look at. Do you really read all the way down to the bottom of the page all the time? Or do you just read the main headlines, the most important bits that have been highlighted? Yeah, when you look at it that way, perhaps, again, we need to understand that what we're doing, our customers are probably doing as well. So we need to focus on the user because it is all about your audience. Clearly, we need to understand what their motivators would be and what their pain points are. So what that means, what are the things that motivate our audience? What are people interested in and what do they need? Are they looking for you just to entertain them because they're bored? Do they want to learn something new? Do they want to win something? What is a stimulant for your audience to keep them engaged and to help them to click through? You also need to, again, on that, you need to be the solution to their pain points, to their challenges. Is you need to identify their pain points and understand what it is that what pain you will be easing by them engaging with you. What solutions are you providing that makes their day easier and helps them to not have to focus on those difficulties? being the solution to the searcher's challenge, to the customer's challenge. So always position yourself in that way. One of the things you can do there is to use benefits and features. Now, I would certainly be focusing, and as you'll see from this example, we're going to be focusing heavily on the benefits, because benefits tell you what's in it for you. Features make you think, and again, that might not be that relevant. So if we look at the new gadget watch example there, which might be appealing to Sally in the persona because she likes tech and gadgets, if you remember that little bit from a few slides back. So a feature of this watch is that it's waterproof up to 5 meters. That doesn't really mean much to me. And do I really swim underwater at more than 5 meters? I probably don't. But if I know that a benefit for me is that I can take it swimming, that means I can see the watch on my wrist. And I know that if I go into the sea, I can take it swimming, or go into a swimming pool, I can take it swimming. It's got 5 millimeter thick glass. Again, I don't know whether that's good or bad for a watch, no idea. But that does make it smash resistant. Personalization is good. So rather than saying it comes in black, white, blue, or gold, choose a color to suit your personality. If I was gonna, so now that's okay, they've got the watch in black, white, blue, or gold, brilliant. But now, this is all about me. I'm going to choose a color that suits my personality. My favorite color personally is blue, so I'd be buying the blue one. So appeal to people that want the blue watches, appeal to people that want the gold watches. It's all about us and our personality and making sure we've got a good fit. And if a benefit we can see there is that it's going to have a lot of comfort and it's going to be stylish, then we can see ourselves in a social occasion, someone saying, that's a nice watch, that's really, really stylish. Again, all of the appealing marketing messages to help us want to buy that particular product. Okay. Here's again another example of people reading the first line. So you're putting all the key information on the first line. Boost your CV with a free. People love free stuff. People love offers and bonuses, feeling like they're perhaps getting something for nothing. Get a product. Get products and engineering on the same page. Product, roadmap, software. Again, that captures your eye. Get product and engineering, 2 functions which often work in quite different ways. They're on the same page. They're working together to give you the efficiency that you need. And another great offer one there, which is get a free coffee roasting kit. And you think, yeah, I'd like a free coffee roasting kit. So you're almost hooked before you read, when you try 3 bags of our roasting coffee. So if you turn that sentence upside down, you must buy 3 bags of our roasting coffee in order to get a free coffee roasting kit, then the initial message is that you need to buy 3 bags. Not quite as appealing in some cases. So it's about optimizing your message. Get a free coffee roasting kit. Yeah, I'd love one of those. What do I need to do to get it? Okay, I'll buy 3 bags and I get that, but I really like that. So it's about really weighting the importance and the impactful statements right at the beginning of your message. We do want to use clear and simple language. It's great to be clever, but not if it puts your audience off. So it needs to be reader friendly, clear, structured, uncomplicated sentences, because again, they're going to be different educational levels and understandings for all of your customers. That's important to note. And that you use everyday words. If you're using technical terms or internal language, a lot of people aren't going to recognize them, and that's going to help people just really to go to another site, I believe, or to another profile. Don't include jargon or acronyms. A lot of people will not understand them. You do not want to make your audience work too hard. It's a really, really key point to note. Don't use flowery language or unnecessary words. So cut the words down so that you use the least words possible, but still conveying the strong message that you want to convey. So we will look into this in a little bit of detail as well. How can you cut your copy but still keep the same meaning? So get there with a piece of paper. Remember the exercise that we saw that Nicos Pizzeria and Hathaway Legal did, where they wrote down a few words and thought, is that appropriate? Should I use that word? Can I cut out unnecessary words which don't really add anything to the sentence or the phrase that I'm trying to create? So rather than just typing something out and saying that'll do, don't do the that'll do part of it. Think, does that convey the message? Craft your messages so that they're speaking to those personas, to those user pen portraits, those ideal and targeted customers, the ones that are likely to spend money with you or complete an action on your website that you want them to complete, which could be to buy now, to download, to sign up for the newsletter, to give you a call, whatever it is that is important to you as a business. Now, a good thing to consider as well when you're running a business is that we've seen that a big focus for our companies has been customer service and having great customer service. This is important because every now and again we're going to get a complaint. So people could just jump in the chat if they wanted to let us know if you've ever experienced a customer complaint and how you handled it. There's not a template for this, but there is a really good way to help you to resolve customer complaints when they come up. So be polite and professional. Ask for a direct contact to help you to resolve the issue. Take some responsibility for the issue that's being raised if it's valid and reasonable. And always keep potentially damaging conversations offline by giving a direct contact address to the person that's making the complaint. So we want to avoid passive language. We want to make sure that we are acknowledging the difficulty that's been experienced rather than going, oh, that's annoying, isn't it? You want to say, I'm really sorry that you've experienced that difficulty. As a business owner, I'm going to look into this for you and we're going to come to a resolution. You do need to look into how you can fix the problem, focusing on acknowledging and fixing the problem for the customer to help them, to retain them, to get some, when we understand, I think, that things go wrong every now and again, it's really about how they're dealt with. So on that basis, fix the issue for the customer rather than saying, oh, it's nothing to do with me, because then people might recommend you out and beyond to their friends and family too. I had difficulty with the product, but actually when something goes wrong, this particular organization or person fixes things really quickly. They're really attentive and they helped me to, restore my faith in that organization very quickly. That kind of ties in also with not being jokey. Sometimes, every now and again, if it is something funny that's happened that's not too impactful, then maybe that is something you could consider. But I would say 9 times out of 10 that being jokey is not going to help your customer. Also, the fact that they've spent some money and perhaps that money has been wasted or lost, to say, oh no, and make a joke out of it is not going to help them, nor their mood, nor their ability to come back and again, perhaps work with you or buy from you in the future. So keep your responses serious and to the point and always based on a solution. Also sign off with a name. I think there's quite a lot of difficulties when you see emails that are signed off from the customer service department. I want to know who I'm speaking to in that customer service department to ensure that if we need a bit of back and forth in our communications to help resolve the problem, I kind of get a much more personal feel to that interaction with that company. So here is a complaint. Again, think about how you might handle something similar for your organization or your company. Look, which is never a great start, is it? Look, I'm annoyed. Look, I ordered a mobile from your company last week. When it arrived, it was badly damaged. I called to complain. I was rudely told that you don't accept returns. So that's not being helpful at all, is it, to the customer? And that I need to contact the delivery company for compensation. So a bit of slopey shoulder, a little bit of, well, it's not our problem, it's theirs. Is this really how you treat loyal customers? So this customer has used them before and probably had good experiences all the way, but it only takes one bad experience to move that customer away so that they go elsewhere. I will never buy from you again, hopeless. Now that's a scathing review. That's something you want to fix. And also, if other people are seeing that online, that potentially could affect their willingness to use you as an organization too. So how do we do this? How do we deal with this? Okay, this is a pretty good response. Hello, customer, or hello. Hopefully you've got their name and you can respond to them if they've given it to you. Our sincere apologies for the inconvenience caused and the poor customer service you received. It fell below our usually high standards. So we do acknowledge that something went wrong. We value your patronage and we'll launch a full investigation. We're going to investigate this because we don't want it happening again. Why you were provided with misinformation and that you weren't treated with the respect you deserve. You do deserve it because you're a customer. That's important. Contact me on my direct email and we can organise a full compensation or replacement. So they're fixing the problem. They're not actually saying, just go off to the delivery drivers because that's their fault. They're saying, we'll look into it, we'll help you, we'll get this resolved. And again, we'll help you find that value for money that you were looking for in the first place. So that is a great example and something which, again, can be built on and applied in principle to your own business. So just be nice to your customers when they complain and respond to all feedback reviews that are negative. Our second pause for questions. I've got one coming from Caroline Bailey. We've got 3 potential customers, bespoke domestic, bespoke commercial, fledgling e-commerce. If we have an overarching feel, but with specific additions group, would that work? Yes, absolutely. You are going to have a feel and a tone to that business, as we've discussed in the previous modules, but then you have specific additions segments, essentially it's called. So look up digital marketing segmentation, perhaps in your search engine, and you will start to see ways to split your audience into distinct sections or segments that you can write specifically for, and that you can angle your communications for, so that they're feeling responsive and that particular audience segment will engage with your communications and engage with you. So yeah, thank you very much indeed for that question. So now we are moving into the final section of the session today, which is our toolkit for content marketing. Caroline, thank you. Thanks for putting that in. That's good. Have a look, do some research. Segmentation and persona building. There are quite a few websites, reputable websites online, that are going to go into a great deal of detail with you. HubSpot's one of my favorite. Google Digital Garage is one of my favorite, where you can explore these topics with great examples and also some useful templates that you can download in some cases as well. Now, for our content marketing, one of the important things that we need with any post really is that we are checking our grammar and that our posts are readable. Now, you might think, okay, look, spelling and grammar is not my strong point. I'm glad to be able to tell you that actually doesn't need to be, because you have great tools out there. So I'm going to ask Vina to put a link in for Grammarly. It's a really, really good tool. What you can do is copy and paste any body of text. So anything you've written potentially as a post, you can put it into Grammarly, and it's going to tell you you've misspelled that word, that you could move certain words around in that sentence to make it more readable. So if you're not amazingly skilled in these areas, again, you don't have to be. You can use these types of tools. They're going to make your posts come across much more readable to your viewers. Remember, again, Sally was also in the persona that we looked at for her for Hathaway Legal. You know, she's a bit of a grammar nerd. So therefore, if Hathaway Legal in any of their communications had misspelt or had put in some grammatical errors, or they hadn't put the apostrophe. One of the things for me is when businesses have apostrophes in the wrong place, that just honestly, it doesn't actually make any sense. That will put me off buying from a business. So we can be really, really picky people. So I think you need to, again, look at your own online behavior. Think about the things that put you off from clicking on a particular vendor or business, organization or person, and apply those rules to yourself too. What areas of quality do I need to apply to my posts to ensure that people are actually reading the message and acknowledging the message, rather than getting hung up on the apostrophes in the wrong place, or the spelling's not brilliant, or that just reads really badly and I don't really understand the message that they're trying to give in the first place. So use tools like Grammarly to help you with that. Now, one important thing, visuals are so key to social media posts. They really, really are. They get a lot more engagement. They get a lot more likes, a lot more click-throughs. So try and use appealing imagery and videos. Video content is hugely, hugely liked. Look at platforms like YouTube. Look at platforms like TikTok. Look at all of the emerging areas and developments that have happened with Instagram and Facebook. You've got Reels, you've got Stories, you've got Instagram TV. People love video content. And so you can create quite a lot of short form content that is going to really appeal to your customers. And, you know, maybe you do want to give yourself a quick review on camera on your phone and upload it straight away to Facebook. It's an effective way to market. Do it well. Think of the message you're trying to convey. People love immediacy of videos, but people just love visual content. They really, really do, that multimedia content. So create eye-catching photographs. You can do that perhaps even, you know, on your phone. If you've got a smartphone, they often have excellent cameras. Edit your photos using some free online editing suites. There are lots and lots of apps that you can use for free. I'm not going to recommend any. I think you should just have a look, try a few out for yourself, and if you don't like them, then you can uninstall them or offload the app. Look at templates that you can use. Canva is a fantastic tool. That's Canva. Again, I'm going to ask Vina, if she can put in a link to Canva for me. Brilliant tool to help you design social media posts. And it also, because each social media platform has its own specific image sizes, Canva's got all of those ready as templates for you so that you can fit into that particular social media platform easily. And graphic design apps, there is an app such as VSCO Cam, again, which I'll ask Vina to pop the link in for. So that's VSCO. That's another great app where you can move around very easily and create very specific images that represent you and your brand. So have a look online in terms of creating engaging visuals. Look at some of the tools out there that are free or free to a point, because they often give you enough starting room with functionality to get you going. And then you might consider perhaps looking at the paid versions. Another really effective way to market yourself and for good posts, as I've mentioned, is a smartphone and a selfie stick. It seems really simple, and it is. You can create posts very quickly out on the street. You give a live experience. People love that live experience. This is a live stream right now, and live content really appeals to audiences because it's immediate stuff going on. This is going on right now. All right, so we are moving in. Yes, Christopher Staples, Canva is amazing. I totally agree. And also a good point from Benifong there. My only problem with templates and Canva is that it can be samey if everyone uses the same. I agree to a point, Benifong, but what I would say there is that, for each template in each particular thing that you're looking at, there are thousands and thousands of examples when you move into the paid versions. So although there will be duplications of that particular look or theme online, you can still move it into a photo editor of your choice, change the colors, change the temperatures of the colors, and make it fit your brand by giving everything that you've got a particular brand tone, a particular, soft color filter, so that almost like banners and display advertising, and perhaps the banners that you see on the street, billboards, that when you're walking along, is you start to associate that with particular brands, and that helps with your overall brand recognition. All right, so we are just coming up to the end of the session. I can't see any new questions come in that Vina hasn't answered, so that's wonderful. Thank you so much, Vina, for all of your help here today. And I hope that people have found this useful in terms of framing what's important for social media and for posts, social media posts. We've got a comment that's come in from Christopher Staples. For me, Canva and Photoshop, because you love learning new things and customizing things. Yeah, customizing is important. That's where you can still, out of a template, make it look like your own. So again, thank you for the helpful suggestions there in terms of tools to investigate. We try not to recommend too many because there are so many out there, and also some can be appealing to your budget and some can be less than appealing to your budget, depending on what money you've got to spend. But there are really good free versions of all types of design tools, writing tools, creative tools, template tools, whatever you need, design tools out there on the internet, on your desktop, but also as an app for your phone. So give them a try and use the ones that have the functionality that you need and the ones that appeal to you in terms of your usability. It's just what makes me feel good, what is easy to use, what gets the job done quickly. Evaluate those and perhaps uninstall the rest. So next steps, please revisit this webinar. If there are any points you want to go back over again, remember, this is going to be live for the next 24 hours on the link you came in on. Test out some of these posts, start writing, start showing your family, friends, trusted colleagues. This is what I want to do. Is it actually conveying the message that I think it is? And what would you suggest as some help? Also think about using our mentoring service if you're based in the UK and you work for a small business or a charity. So that's mentoring, that's g.co/UK mentoring. You might want to talk about brand tone of voice a bit more. You might want to say, well, this is the type of business that I'm working in. What personas can I be building in order to write to my ideal target audience? There's lots of things that you can do in that hour, I can assure you. And again, they're great conversations to have. That's g.co/UK mentoring. Crikey. So deep breath there. Just come to the end. That was a fair amount of talking, wasn't it? I'm going to say thank you very much. We would love your feedback. goo.gle/digital garage feedback. Let us have your feedback, because that's our customer service offering to you. We want to improve. We need to have your views and your opinions so that we can improve these sessions, create more relevant content for you, and make sure that we're keeping you happy and helping you and your business to move along. It takes a couple of minutes, that feedback form, goo.gle. I'm going to ask Fina to share that into the chat for me, Digital Garage. So give us your feedback. Let us know what you enjoyed today. Post on social media with a hashtag Digital Garage to let people know the tips that you've learned and things that might help them along their way as well. So thank you, everybody. It's been a pleasure as ever to be on Google Digital Garage and to help out with some of these fascinating topics. I hope you've learned something today. You've got key takeaways that you're going to take away, implement a new step, try something new, and evolve your knowledge and understanding of what you can achieve with your business through social media. So on that basis, I am going to say thank you very much indeed. Have an excellent rest of your day and an excellent rest of the week. And I hope to see you soon again on another Google Digital Garage webinar. Thank you very much indeed, and goodbye.